sure some of you have. Somebody might not like some member of your family, and because they don't like some member of your family, they don't like you. All of a sudden your worth goes down the drain because of who they are, not because of who you are. Is that fair? No, that's not fair, but sometimes that's fate. That's fate. What would you say is the strongest emotion that you took away from the assembly that day, that when you left, for instance, bitterness? Was it happiness, bitterness, sadness, or, hey, I can be somebody? I really believe that I can overcome and I can be somebody. What emotions were you feeling?
Well, I felt that after hearing your speech, when you used to be really a nobody, didn't have nothing to look up for, that most people today don't really have nothing and then make something out of themselves. And it made me feel like if you can be what nobody, and I'm already somebody when I was little growing up and had some of the things that you didn't have, that maybe I can make something out of myself the same way you did.
School's out. All my friends are graduating, and what I'm about to tell you changed my life forever. My friends were getting ready to graduate. I loved you guys. I didn't want you to leave because I was going to have to be left back by myself. And all I had was you. And you guys were getting ready to leave. So what was I going to do? I wasn't going back to school. I wasn't going back to those empty desks. I wasn't going back to those spots where you used to sit. I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to go back and let people make fun of me again. I wasn't going to do it. I was tired. So I went to graduation. And I sat on the very back row, and I was watching you guys graduate. I'd never been to a graduation ceremony before. I didn't know what happened. And when I sat on that very back row, my friends received their diplomas, and then they walked down the aisle, and what they did changed my life forever. They grabbed their diplomas. They shook their hands. They walked across the stage. They shook their hands. They walked down the aisle. They started down the aisle, and when they did, this is what they did. I was sitting on the very back row, the very back corner. Everybody else was sitting facing the auditorium. I was on the very back row so I could get out of there fast because my heart was hurting. I sit back there. They got in a single line. When they all walked to the very back seat where I was, which was here now, everybody else sitting up there facing that direction, Mac Baker stopped, patted me on the shoulder, didn't say a word. Leland Couch, when he walked to me, he stopped and he patted me on the shoulder. Jan Killian, when she got to me, she stopped. She patted me on the shoulder. Mary John Wiley, when she got to me, she stopped and she just put her hand on my shoulder. Everybody walked down that aisle. By that time, it was a very eerie feeling in that auditorium. Everybody that was sitting there facing that direction was doing just exactly what you're doing now. All the townspeople, thousands it seemed like, aunts, uncles, mamas and dads, cats and dogs, it seemed like everybody was there. And they all turned around and they was facing me, sitting on that very back row, looking at them. Boy, was I embarrassed. Because then, the whole town was looking at me. Everybody had turned around to see why the line had stopped. And everybody's eyes was focused on me. Everybody's eyes was focused on me. And I looked just like I'm looking at all of you now. I was your age. And I looked at all those townspeople. And boy, you want to talk about feeling like a failure. And all of a sudden something happened because my friends put their hand on my shoulder. My pals put their hand on my shoulder. I faced all those town people and I had a new resolve right then. And I said, I will never fail again. I will never let anything beat me down again. I am going to make it. My friends all filed out. I left that graduation, that ceremony with a new resolve. I went back as a 20-year-old senior, graduated from Florida High School. I don't know that I really graduated. I think they just, passed me. Went to college playing baseball. Ended up graduating with 3 degrees, one being a master's degree. California Baptist College. That ring doesn't mean anything to you guys. Nothing. I'll tell you what it means to me. I stood on that platform, thousands of people out there, thousands, I mean multiple thousands out there, big college, lots of people out there. I used to think the saddest thing in the world was when something bad happened to you. I've learned since then that the saddest thing that can ever happen to you and to me is when something good happens to you and you don't have anybody to share it with. I didn't have a mother and I didn't have a dad. I didn't have any relatives. I didn't have anybody there to be in my corner. And I finally had made it. My self-esteem was finally beginning to feel pretty good. And I looked out there, and all of a sudden I saw her, dressed in pink. Hair was out to this way. I looked at that lady and I said, I can't believe who it is. It was Charlene Finkner, my 3rd grade school teacher. I thought, how did she know? I didn't tell her. How did she know? She spent her own time and her own money to fly to California to be there for me. I thought, how appropriate. She was there for me a long time ago when we got this started. And she wanted to be there for me at the very end to let me know, Ronnie, I told you one of these days you could be dynamite. And I knew you could be dynamite. And I carry those words with me everywhere I go. Those Doyle McSpaddens and those Charlene Finkners, and you know what? You're going to be that kind of people for you guys next year. You're going to put your arms around people next year. You're going to speak to your friends' hearts. And sometimes you're not going to know what to say, and it might only be, you're going to make it. Because I'm going to be there for you. Now, I guarantee you, then someday they're going to stand here and they're going to say, yeah, when other people were saying I was white trash, when other people was telling me I was no good and I'd never be anybody, you believed in me. And because you believed in me, I'm going to spend the rest of my life helping other people and getting that message out. That's what you guys do. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, and the road you're trudging seems all uphill, and the funds are low and the debts are high, you want to smile, but you just have to sigh. When care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but never quit. For life, it's queer with its twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learns, and many a failure will be turned about. You'll win. You will, because nothing will defeat you if you'll just stick it out. Take it to a new level, guys. I had help to get to where I am now. And I guarantee you, when you get to where you want to be, it's going to be because you've gotten help. And when other people get to where they're going, it's because you have helped them. Learn everything you can these 2 days. Because these people that are here for one reason. They're here to help you. So our world will be a better place to live. Thank you.
When I first met Ron a couple of weeks ago, I sat in his presentation, and even now I have chill bumps running up and down my arms because of what he said about his own life and empowering other people to go on and do.
I'm Barbara Patton from Electra High School, and I am the PALS sponsor there. I am very excited that I had an opportunity to see Ron Hill. I've seen him twice. He was excellent both times. The first time, it was really fate that I got to hear him. He was doing a presentation at the Electra High School, and it was my principal came to me and he said, hey, I think this is something that you as a PAL sponsor needs to hear. Didn't really know what to expect. I sat in there, and I want you to know that was the best presentation that I'd ever heard. He is a very humorous man. He had the kids laughing. He had their attention the full time. Before it was over, he had kids in tears, including me. I mean, he really touched my heart, and he touched their hearts as well. He has quite a message. He speaks the truth. You can tell it comes from his heart. He's had quite an experience growing up. I think he has a lot to give to these kids. There's probably many kids that are in the same shape that he was in growing up, and he can really relate to them in a way that probably most teachers can't. It was just great. When I left that auditorium, I thought, boy, this guy is really something. I think every student in any school in Texas, across the whole United States, needs to hear Ron Hill's message. He's